COVID, we said we're going to experience post-COVID. And the truth of the matter is the things we are experiencing now were not the things we actually prepared for as the post-COVID. And this is our reality. And the high time we embrace it, get knowledge, get tutored on how to handle the stage or this era, the better for us. It has come to stay, and that is the reality. And so today I have Yeti Williams, who is, so I'm going to read Yeti Williams' profile. Yeti Williams is going to be taking us through the session of Your Child and AI. If you don't know the meaning of AI, that is artificial intelligence. How to be more intentional and effective parents in this digital world. So in today's interconnected world, technology is playing an increasingly significant role in our lives. And when the rapid advancement in algorithms and artificial intelligence, these tools are becoming prevalent in various aspects, including child rearing. While algorithm and AI can offer valuable assistance, it is crucial to know that parental input remains paramount in shaping a child's development and well-being and values. And so in celebrating this, we have invited Yeti Williams, and she's going to be taking us through the needs for parents to understand how AI, such as ChatGPT, can affect our children and the importance of the early years in raising digital resilient teenagers. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Yeti Williams in the house. Hi, Yeti. You look pretty.
Hello, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you for joining us again. Yeti was in the house in March, and that was when I made up my mind that, man, he's going to give us this. She's going to give us the full curriculum, the full gist of what's happening. So Yeti Williams is a founder of Lagos Moms, the first Nigerian blog dedicated to moms, parents, and caregivers. She believes that parenting should be a mindful and collaborative process. As a parenting coach, our mission for creating the Lagos Moms community is to be a family life and parenting resource for moms, parents, and caregivers. Yeti believes it takes an e-village to raise a child in the 21st century. And that's why we're here, e-village. This is an e-village, right? She is the convener of Lagos Moms Parenting Conference, which is an annual gathering of thousands of parents and experts discussing pertinent topics relating to parenting and family matters. Yeti is a certified life coach, neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, trained in online safety and child safeguarding and cognitive behavioral therapy. Lagos Moms has grown organically online and is active on social media across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with over 100,000 followers. The brand has worked with several local and international brands. As a speaker, she has been invited to several times. She has been invited to speak several times on parenting, work-life balance, digital media, and entrepreneurship at various companies, schools, company retreats, and many more platforms locally and globally. As a CEO, Yeti is the lead consultant at Slay with Digital, where she consults on digital transformation and strategic digital media marketing planning for business owners and companies. Some of our clients are P&G, Kimberly-Clark, Nivea, Google, several SMEs and schools. She serves on the boards including the Bethesda Child Support Agency and Afro Tech Girls. Yeti has won several awards over the years. Some of this include being announced as the winner of the Social Media Online Media category in the Eloy. Eco Women, she was listed on the Eco Women 100 list, recognition by Lagos State government. This evening, we have in the house, I will call Yeti the way my boss calls her, Mama Mileko, Lagos, Yeti Williams. Thank you, Yeti. Please, so I want you to take the floor. I yield the mic to you, and please don't hold back. We need to know. We need to know, and we want to know. And guys, please, I want you to get ready your questions. Send your questions in as the session goes on. Thank you very much. I yield the mic to you now, Yeti.
Hey, fantastic. Thank you so much, Ebon, for the introduction. Thank you for having me back here. It's great to always be in the house. Oga Praise is, somebody that we all look up to and work closely with. So I'm always glad to be able to come and, contribute my part as well to the community. So with everything you've said, I am going to start sharing my screen now. And for all the parents that are here, I want you to forget what you think you know. Let's just unlearn. Let's forget what we think we know. And let's just come with a fresh understanding of what's going on in our children's world. One of the things that when I work with clients, I speak, I train, I coach, I do something called, I use a 3E process. The first one is to educate our parents. We need to be educated about what's going on. Then we need to be ready with that education to empower our children to make the right choices. And lastly, we need to do it all with empathy. Because if we have empathy and we understand the world our children are growing up in, we realize it's not the world we grew up in. So our lived experiences are very different. And the children today, the nuances that they pick up is very, very intricate. Then we layer on top of all of that technology. Technology is moving fast. Before we think we've figured out one platform, we figured out screen time, something like ChatGPT comes out and turns the whole world upside down again. And sometimes the parents are the ones left scrambling. But I don't want anyone here to feel overwhelmed. You cannot parent effectively if you feel overwhelmed. What we need to do is be armed with the information we need and then say, what does this mean for us? And us being willing to do the work. So with that said, I am going to share my screen and just confirm once you can see it. Okay, can you see my screen? Yes? Okay. All right, fantastic. So this particular topic is around artificial intelligence and understanding the effect on our children. Okay, so let me get started. Ebon has been so kind to read my background, so I won't go over this again. However, what I just wanted to add was that I've trained probably over 3,000 now, but parents, children, and teachers on online safety. Now, it's very important that we understand the intersectionality, if you will, of the three groups. We can't talk about online safety and only speak to any one group. We can't only talk to the children about being safe online. We can't only talk to the parents about how to, we can't only talk to parents and we can't only talk to teachers. Everybody needs to be on the same page because everybody has a very critical role to play. Now, many years ago, when I set up Lagos Moms, for those who maybe have never heard or seen me or know what Lagos Moms does, it was when I became a new parent and I had a 2-year-old and a baby. And I look back now and, hindsight is 2020. And I feel that it was almost divine intervention that said, digital is going to rock our world. It's going to make things very different. And we need to prepare for it. It's not to be fearful. It's not to be like an ostrich. You know what ostriches do? Just put their head down and say, don't get it. I don't understand. We have to be empowered and ready to deal with it. And I look now and I see 10 years later, it's almost as if I would say majority of the questions I get weekly, majority of the clients I work with, screen time is a big issue. You can be the most intentional parent in the physical manifestation of parenting and be the most neglectful parent when it comes to the digital world. Let me say that again. It's like, stark opposites. You can be the most intentional parent in the physical realm, meaning, the children clean their room, they pray every day, we have dinner together. You can be a great intentional parent in the physical. However, when it comes to virtual, parents can be the most neglectful, not because they mean to, or they don't fully understand what's going on and they don't know how to protect their children in this realm. We all grew up a certain way, and for most people, the parenting that you're dishing out, it's usually aligned to how you were parented. So if in the world you grew up in, there was nothing like social media, there was nothing like a digital playground, there was nothing like tying your self-esteem to what goes on online. As parents, it's not very easy to make that switch and say, how do I show up for my children? So what I hope for us to get through today, please, please, please do not be overwhelmed, because I get that a lot. When people hear this, there's a sense of, where do I even start? Your morning is when you wake up. Some of us have already woken up, and even though we thought we were awake, things will continue to come our way that will make us realize, let me sleep and wake again. So it's a journey that we're all on together. All right, so let's jump in. And as Ebun said, please, we'll take questions later. I really love time for Q&A because that's where a lot of this comes out. So I'll try and talk for probably about 30, 45 minutes thereabouts, and then maybe less even. And then we'll go into Q&A. All right. So first of all, I want to talk about what it means to be effective. Effective means to be successful in producing a desired or intended result. So when we talk about parenting, being an intentional parent, then we add on being an effective digital parent. What does that mean? If everybody can just think about that for a minute, what does it mean to you to be an effective digital parent? I've put here that effective means to be successful in producing a desired or intended result. So if we're trying to be effective in the digital age, it means we're raising children in a digital world and we're hoping to have a type of outcome. But if we have never really thought about what that outcome looks like, feels like, how are you going to know if you're on that right path? It's one thing to say that, I'm going to raise my children to be, to be sound academically. Yes, that's a goal. When we think about it in the digital context, what does that mean? And it's very important we start from here, because when we think about the world that children are growing up in, that's very different from ours. Many things need to align for us to be relevant in the digital age. So I want to talk about the relationship between the parenting style, your child's love language, and whether or not you're a relevant parent in the digital age. It's only your relevance that can make you effective. I hope we're together. Only your relevance in the child's life that can make you effective. So your parenting style is how you parent. All of us have a parenting style. All of us do. Whether we might know it consciously, might be on subconscious. It might be one of, what's that quadrant of when you're unconsciously conscious? You know what I mean? It can just be all sorts of things where you've never really thought about it. Or maybe some of us have thought about it. Now, if your parenting style and your child's love language is not in sync, it causes a lot of tension. So if there's not a cohesive, harmonious relationship between the parents and the children, guess what? Your parenting in the digital age is almost dead in the water. What I mean by that is our children have a virtual reality to their lives that takes so much more, has such a high position in their lives. That's much more than what mom and dad say or how mom and dad feel. So if we're not aligned, it's very difficult for us to guard, train, raise these children in the digital age. So we're now going to go into the parenting styles and child's love language. And I want you to be thinking about which relates to you. Because think of it like a Venn diagram, or think of it as A plus B equals C for people that remember math equation. If A and B don't balance, C cannot be on the equal side, right? So it needs to balance, because before you can step into the children today and to be effective in this age, you have to be speaking the same language. All right. So parenting styles. The first one is the authoritarian. We know them now, the dictator. I've said it. Don't ask me any questions, go do it. In this situation, the children can be obedient. However, we find that these children sometimes are the ones who grow up with very low self-esteem. They're very obedient, but when it comes to thinking out of the box, for example, they can't because they've been used to being told what to do and obey. No questions asked. These are the same children that will suddenly get into the workforce and the boss is saying, I need you to think out of the box. Hello, which box? Is it the box that I've been raised in? You now want me to think out of the box. A lot of them sometimes struggle with that, being creative and knowing that they can speak up. So authoritarian parenting is that style. I'm the parent, my way or the highway, I've said it, end of story. For children like this in the digital space, it can be dangerous because that means that if a child feels they cannot speak to mom and dad, there's an alternative. The alternative is waiting for them in the palm of their fingers, whether it's their phone, social media, laptop. Then you have the authoritative parent. That's the one that's firm. You have high standards. But this parent understands a little bit more, the importance of communication, of talking to the children, of understanding where they're coming from, of explaining, what your high standards are, what your values are, all of those things. You are firm, but there's a relationship aligned with that authoritative parenting style. So you tend to explain things to your children, kind of understand where they're coming from. Then we have the neglectful and permissive. I put them together. These are the parents who tend to leave their children to a large extent to their devices, to figure things out themselves. Some of these parents are the ones who want to be a friend. They want to be their child's friend. They don't want to seem hard. They don't want to seem harsh. Maybe they're the ones who feel, my children can't suffer what I suffered. But then they put that in a big box. Can't suffer what I suffered versus highlighting exactly what it is you don't want them to suffer. What is it specifically? It's only when you're specific you can implement that, or they're too distracted, too busy, too distracted. So I lump it all together because sometimes it happens by omission, it happens by life being life, it happens with the hustle, we all know. But guess what? Those children are growing on a daily basis. So we need to be aware that we need to be careful not to fall under that neglectful, because in the digital world, I'm tying everything to that, your children have an alternative. I want that to just keep ringing in our heads. Our children have an alternative. When we were growing up, if mom and dad were busy, maybe it was your siblings, it was your neighbors, it was the playground, finish. Television was 4 o'clock to what o'clock? 8 o'clock. News came on, finish. Now, your child has the internet, has social media, and then we're going to get into the big uncle of all of them. Uncle AI has also now landed in their world. So it's as if as we're starting to get used to what the world means for them, it keeps moving ahead. And then the last one I want to mention is the intentional parenting style. This is the parent that's focused on the long term. This is the parent that is like, what? I'm thinking long term. I'm not raising a child. I'm not raising children. I'm raising adults. And I've had a parenting vision board for them since they were born. If I'm raising adults and I'm aware of what kind of skills, values, characteristics I want to instill in them, myself and my husband, we need to be intentional to get there. Because your teenager doesn't just show up at your door one day. Hello, hi. Your teenager doesn't just show up at your door and say, hi, mom, I'm here. That teenager was grown and groomed in your house. So that intentionality must come very early. So for me, intentional parenting is the person who doesn't do what is easy in the moment, but who does what is required for the long term. And I'm not saying your long-term parenting vision board should be, my child is going to be a doctor. It's not about that. It's about a child who becomes an adult, who is, then you can fill in the blanks, who can handle social media, who has resilience, who has grit, who has values. All of those things are really critical. Okay, so those are the parenting styles. Now I want us to talk about the children's love languages, and then I'm going to connect how they both really align with each other. Let me just put them all out there. 5. There we go. So children's love language, some people know about love languages through Gary Chapman's work, and that's really what it's based off of. But most of us think of it with relation to, spousal relations, romantic love. However, children also kind of have a love language. They have how they respond to love, how their emotional tank is filled. The first one is words of affirmation. Those are the children who it's very important for them to hear you, their parents, say nice words to them, affirm them for the fact that they've worked hard for that test. You can see that they've paid a lot of attention to their homework, to their project. It's not about whether they get an A or B or C, but that process. Those are the ones that they want you to say, I'm so proud of you, well done, I see you did your best. Those children, the words you speak to them are so much more important and can squash their emotional tank, can squash their self-esteem much harsher than if you even physically smack them, for example. So those are the children who like words of affirmation. The next one is quality time. Children who want to spend time with you. They want you to spend time with them. Don't send them to the birthday parties with nanny. Don't send them to the movies with nanny that say you're too busy, but at least you are going to watch the latest movie. They want to spend that time with you. Acts of service is the third one. Those are the children that like you doing things for them. Sometimes we might miss it and think, why are you being lazy? But you already know how to do that. No, acts of service, it can be an example. Let me give you a practical example. And this is my one with my daughter. She's 15 now. And I remember when she was growing up and was getting to the point of picking out her own outfits, she would always ask me, Mom, what should I wear? And with my intentional hat on, I thought, okay, I definitely want her to feel confident picking outfits herself. But I could also tell that it was important for her, for us to walk through that process together. So what I would do is say, okay, pick 2 sets of outfits that you like, and then I will pick one. That checked all the boxes. I was ensuring she knows how to dress appropriately for the outing, but I was also part of the process with her. And up to now at 15, she will still say, Mom, what do you think? This or that? How do you like this? It's not from lack of confidence. It's because for her, that's her way of bonding. Okay? Then physical touch is the 4th one. Those are the children that when you give them a hug like this, their whole body will just melt, And please, let's not say things like, you're a big boy. Can't you see you're a big man? You're taller than me. Which hug are you coming for? My son is 13, taller than me. From the time he was 2 or 3 years old in school, the first award he got in nursery school was for giving the best hugs. I said, shoo, best hugs in school. Is that the one we're doing? But up to now, he's a hugger. You give him a hug, you can tell that he just feels great. Like, just come for a hug up to now. So my point is paying attention to these things because it's very important that we speak to our children in the language they understand. And then the last one is gifts. I'm not saying go and buy the latest iPhone, but there are some children that is just the fact that you give them a gift. You went to the supermarket and you said, I know you like oranges and oranges in season. So look, I bought you a fresh pack of a dozen of oranges. It's about that. It's not about the most expensive gifts. So the reason all of these are really important is if your parenting style doesn't match your child's love language, and then you start talking about the tension and the stress and the hustle of life, or you're talking about social media and you want to control them there, but you are not connecting, you're not feeling your child's love language, it can be very difficult to be an effective parent, especially in the digital age. So take some time to do this exercise. What is your parenting style? What's your child's love language? Is it aligned? One example that does not work, that's like pouring oil on fire, or which example will I use, is a child whose love language is words of affirmation. For mommy and daddy, when you're upset, the words you use can kill a giant. You are killing that child's self-esteem. You think you're disciplining them, but you are destroying them. So we need to be very careful to say, what is my parenting style? And we all have one. And it also evolves as your children get older. I think it was from PF, I heard this before about the roles of parent changing from being a coach from being forget it now, but you basically evolve into being a coach and being a consultant. For you to be a coach in your child's life, for you to be a consultant in your child's life later, guess what? You have to have had that harmony along the way. I spend a lot of time on this background because if we don't get this right, there's no way we can be effective in this digital age, because the children seem smarter than us. That's the truth when it comes to digital stuff. So we need to make sure that we're on the same page before we start saying, how do we take care of them and guide them in the digital age? Okay? Talked about this already, but lack of connection can lead to virtual replacement. Parents, hello, hi. we are an endangered species. Yes, parents are an endangered species in terms of the true connection we should be having with our children. We're not careful. The virtual world is replacing that. And that's why I speak a lot about digital resilience starting from when children are young, because the work you do early is what is going to carry them later on. All right. So let's talk about becoming a responsible digital citizen. After we've given that like background and homework a bit, I hope you're thinking through your style. This picture is a boy in a car. Nobody will give their child a car key, drop them on Third Mainland Bridge, and say, buddy, I hope you get home anytime you want. Just make sure you don't damage my car. And maybe please don't harm yourself or don't hurt anybody. But here, go. We won't do it now. However, that's what we're doing in the digital world. And I dare say giving a child a car key, you won't even be able to turn the ignition, the car won't move. But on the digital world, they are exposed to billions of people on the internet, 24 hours, 7 days a week. When it comes to driving, there's an age expectation. The child is supposed to learn how to drive before they get behind the wheel. You will not say that because my child is not going to drive till 16 or 17, you will not teach them how to use a seatbelt. You will not teach them that when you are crossing the road, what do we teach our children? Look left, right, and left again. We teach them all of those things to prepare them for the fact that one day they will drive. But before they start driving, they're going to be interacting with cars, right? So the point is the same principle we need to bring to the digital world is no different. Unfortunately, because we're all catching up, a lot of our children have already been exposed to so much online, and a lot of parents feel that they don't know what to do. So what happens when a parents from a place of fear, reacting, lashing out, being judgmental, always suspecting that the child is doing something bad? What you suspect a lot is what you will get. However, you need to also be educated to be aware that there's a role we must play. So let's talk about becoming a digital savvy parent. Let's start with why do they go online? This is based on research. A lot of them go online to do research, schoolwork. They go on social media, what I call the digital playground. When we were younger, we will go to the actual physical playground and go on the swing and play Tenten and play Babasuwe. We know now, what's that other one? The one that you'll be hopping on the floor you have broken. That you have drawn squares in, hopscotch or whatever they call it, right? So now they just do it digitally. So if we see it that way, sometimes you'll be less dramatic. Like, okay, the playground has moved from physical to online. Does that mean then all the rules should go out? When your child is going to the playground, when we were growing up, they will tell you who to play with, don't follow strangers, things like that. We need to reframe it, because guess what? Our children have more stranger connection than we will ever meet. So you can't even just tell your child, don't talk to a stranger, don't follow a stranger. They'll say, I've heard. But guess what? When they go online, in a given day, they are speaking to more strangers than the people they know. So we must reframe that. Our children go online to play video games and for entertainment. This is kind of research based on the list of what children tend to do online. And this is globally. Why does it matter? It matters because it has the ability to affect them in various ways. One is our children's behaviors are changing because of what they are exposed to online. Ebu and myself can be raising children in Nigeria, in Ikeja GRA. Say we're Nigerian, we're raising Nigerian children with Nigerian mother and father. But guess what? Your child's behavior and beliefs, they are more American than Trump gone because of the exposure they have. So imagine you think you are raising a child that's Nigerian, but their beliefs, their behaviors, their virtual friends are all a different culture with different beliefs, with different values. But your child can come and sit down and do family altar for 30 minutes a day. They will tell you what you need to hear. They will praise worship. They will give you memory verse. You say, thank you, mommy, good night, God bless you. But then when they go online, it just undoes it based on what they're exposed to. So it really matters, because when we step back to understand how the paradigm has shifted, we realize that we cannot play with the work of not just being a parent, effective digital parent. Their relationship with schoolwork is also being affected. Research shows that from an attention perspective, because of all the short form content that our children are consuming, it's affecting their ability to focus and concentrate. A lot of the content people watch now is on TikTok. How long is a TikTok video? I can't see the chat box. How long is a TikTok video? 60 seconds. And that's what our children are binging on. You cannot be watching 60 seconds coming. It's affecting their ability to concentrate, to read books, to do anything without they get irritated quickly. They want to move on to the next. They can't even finish a song that's 3 minutes. They will get to minute 1.5 because now they have us in our day. You will fast forward, you will rewind, now they will just play next. So for them, everything is fast, quick. And it's affecting a lot of things also in their brains and in their development. It's shaping their thinking. They're exposed to so much online. And the biggest one of it all, mental health. I'm sure you must have come across all the research that's talking about the effect of excessive screen time on our children's mental health. The unfortunate thing with mental health is that you don't see it, right? You don't see it. It's not like physical. If a child has a cold and is coughing every day for 3 months, there will be a problem now. Why are you coughing? Is it allergies? Maybe we haven't thought about what's going on. But when it comes to mental health, you might not necessarily see it, which is why it's so important for parents to be aware of what are the mental health red flags. What are the red flags that show there's some challenge potentially for mental health? The beautiful thing with any ill mental health is that you can fix it, you can solve it, you can intervene, but we must know. Social media is making it very difficult for parents to identify if their children are having mental health challenges. Unfortunately, many times it comes up much later. When they go through the child's feed, they see that the child had been sharing subliminal messages online suggesting that they were struggling, but they're not talking to the person in their life. So what does that mean for parents? Should we be scared? A little bit. But is there stuff we can do? Absolutely. All right. So I want us to take this quiz quickly. So please, if you have a pen, if you have a paper, or if you want to put the answers in the chat room, you can. We're going to play a short quiz. Okay? Are we all ready? Go ahead. All right. When you think about teaching your child to navigate the internet, how does it make you feel? These are the scores. If you don't really think about it because your children are still young, put N. Just the thought of it makes you feel anxious. That's an A. Mixed feelings. I know I need to, but I don't know how to. The score is a P. I know it's a very important topic. That's an I. Let me know if to move ahead. So what do you think? What do you think about teaching your child to navigate the internet? How does it make you feel? You haven't really thought about it because you think they're still young? Just the thought of it makes you feel anxious? You have mixed feelings, you know you need to, but you don't know how to. And you know it's a very important topic. Just pick the letter that corresponds to the question and just note it, okay? Moving on to the next one. Don't worry, it's not an exam. There's no feeling or passing. All right. Now, this is the second question. Have you spoken to your child about the pros and cons of the internet? You have not, N. You believe they will figure it out themselves. That's a P. You expect their school to teach them. That's an A. I have and also take steps to protect them online. That's an I. Let me give you one more 30 seconds to fill that out. Have you spoken to your child about the pros and cons of the internet? Either you have not, you believe they'll figure it out themselves, you expect their school to teach them, you have, and you are also taking steps to protect them online. Okay, they're just 4 questions, I believe, so 2 more. All right, next. What steps have you taken to protect your child's online activities? You've done nothing, that's an N. It's just you and your paper, or you're not sharing it, don't worry, just be honest. You've done nothing, N. You've blocked them from being online without adult supervision, A. And last one here is, I have installed parental monitoring software and or spoken to them about how to stay safe online. That's an I. Okay, so this is around what steps have you taken to protect your child's online activities. Okay, should I keep going, Ebu? Should I move on? Yeah, people are answering. Okay. And
Yeah,
next
people
question.
are answering.
Okay, good. And the next question is, which of the following have you discussed with your child? Yeah. Now I'm going to read all of them out. Now, if when I read out these questions or these options, it's one of them that you have already discussed with your child, that's an N. If you've discussed 3 or more, that's an I. And 2, wait, let's say 1 or less. Okay, 1 or less, N. 3 or more, I. 2 or less, A. Okay. So which of the following have you discussed with your child? Digital footprint. Yes or no? Screen time allowance. Yes or no? Acceptable age to get on social media. Yes or no? How to protect their private information online. Yes or no? Fake news. Yes or no? None of these. Yes or no? So if you have discussed any of these, 3 or more of these with your children, then it's an I. If you've only discussed 2 of these or less, it's an A. And if you've only discussed 1 of it or none at all, it's an N. Okay? Now, these are all things we must be discussing with our children, by the way, regularly. But it's important for us, you can only help a man cross a bridge when you know where they are going. So we all need to know where we are, so that when we're talking about family digital well-being, all of those things, it seems big, but we must start from here. Where are we today? What's our reality? As a coach, I work with people to move from where are you? What are you trying to achieve? How are we going to get there? It's a process, but we must first start with the R in Tigro, Abi. What's the reality today? Where are you? Okay, so with all of that said, sorry, one more question. As a parent, which one of these are you aware of? FOMO, digital sunset, digital footprint, parental monitoring software, cyberbullying, Finsta accounts, or burner phones? Because I want us to engage on this question a little bit, please note your answer to it. But I'd like to get at least 3 people who can tell me what, okay, no, let me put it this way. Who can tell me what FOMO stands for? If anybody wants to, either, I don't know what the rules are, either they want to unmute or you want to read what somebody says in chat to me. Who can tell me what FOMO stands for?
Anyone is good. If you want to, okay, some people are dropping in the chat box. I have fear of missing out. Yeah, please,
no, FOMO.
Unmute yourself.
No, FOMO, not FOMO. FOMO, F-O-M-U, the second one. What does that mean? I know everybody should know FOMO by now. That one is a given. But I'm talking about FOMO. Anybody know that? 10 seconds. Nobody. Oh yeah, Ebun, what's FOMO?
Somebody said fear of messing up.
Yes, messing up. That's what it is. Exactly. Fear of messing up. And it's something that's causing a lot of anxiety.
Wow.
And mental health challenges for children. So imagine as a parent, you don't know that this is a phenomenon that's going on. Fear of messing up, both in their lives, like academics, doing well in school, examinations, but also online. Because of cancel culture, these children nowadays are doing something called herd mentality. They want to do what everybody's doing. They want to say what everybody is saying because they are fearful of being seen as not following what's popular. And guess what? They are doing this online. So there's no safety net, there's no protection, there's no chance to say, I don't really, do I believe? It's not even happening. So fear of messing up is a big one we're seeing in young adults and Gen Z. All right, who wants to tell me what a Finsta account is? Who knows what a Finsta account is? Please unmute or put it in chat. Let's give ourselves 30 seconds for that. Anybody know what Finsta account is? No? Okay.
Nobody.
A Finsta account is when your child has the real account that you don't know about. So you're following them on social media. You think, my child's social media feed is so clean. It's so good. In fact, my child doesn't even like TikTok. It's as if they're not there. They don't post anything. However, they have a Finsta account. That's the other account that they know mommy and daddy don't know. And that's where their real person comes out. A lot of teenagers have Finsta accounts. So that's what Finsta account is. And then the last one I'll just throw out there is digital footprint. What does that mean? I think we kind of know what it means. Digital footprint is very critical for us to discuss with our children, not once, just the same way I'm a Christian. I don't go to church one time and say, now I'm a Christian and my children know everything about God. It's a continuous conversation. Digital footprint is that everything you share online, you do online, you say online, stays online forever. It paints a picture of who you are. Our children need to understand that at a critical level, that everything you are doing is painting a picture of who you are online, whether it's really you or not you, whether you were just curious about that thing or not. The fact that you have clicked on it, the algorithms, the platforms, technology, AI are painting a picture of who you are. So if Bode is one day curious about something and just happen to Google it, Google will not let him forget. If he goes onto any of these popular social media platforms and he looks at somebody's page or interacts with a particular hashtag, guess what? They're going to be doing what? Giving him more and more of that content. So digital footprint is really critical for everybody to understand, both from the perspective of what the children share, but also what they do. Whatever you interact with online, platforms don't know that you're a 13-year-old kid who just heard a term and was wondering what it is. They're going to believe that you want more of that. And the algorithms want to be efficient. AI wants to be efficient. So it's like, this person likes this material. Let me start sending them more and more and more of that. In fact, we found out with some children who are curious about this whole gender fluidity thing. They make a mistake of just clicking on it. Suddenly, the platform will make the child truly gender fluid because of all the things they're getting. Okay. So you did that score.
Yeah, so Yeti, somebody said, can you define them all, please?
Oh, okay. Sorry, we should have done that. Let me go back.
Thank you.
Okay, so FOMO stands for fear of missing out. So that's the child who goes online and just feels bad because everybody else seems to be living this fantastic, curated virtual world. And they cannot decipher between the difference. That because I put this on social media doesn't mean that's my real life. But nobody goes on social media and posts a picture where they are sad, they are down, they are crying, they are unhappy. Of course not now. If I'm going to come and showcase anything in my life, it's usually going to be the positive that people are curating. That's why it's very important for our children to understand that, you know what you see online, we're not saying it's not true, but it's not necessarily 100% true. And that's the main thing we need to get them to think is they need to get used to thinking because I'm seeing this does not mean it's 100% true. Now we're going to add on what AI is doing. Artificial intelligence, the reason generative AI, which is the recent one that's on, which we'll spend the next 10 minutes or so on, the reason it seems to have turned everything on its own, upside down, is that generative AI is creating content that comes across like it is real. The natural language of it is making it seem as if it is actually real. So there are AI platforms now that will take my voice as I'm speaking and generate it and start to create content that I didn't say, but because it's analyzed my voice, it's giving voice. And people are already using it for cybercrime. It's already being used for cybercrime. AI now is also helping you create videos on, I think it's TikTok now. There's a feature, a filter that as you are doing a live video, AI is modifying how you look. Imagine. So when you even see something online now, you can't be sure. This is not even about fake news or not. This just, did this person really say this? Did this person really do this? So that's what FOMO is. FOMO is fear of missing out. Everybody else seems to be living great and maybe you are not. You're comparing yourself to others, okay? We've talked about FOMO already. Digital sunset is bedtime for your devices, and every family needs to have this. We're increasingly seeing that part of the concerns and issues children are having with some mental health challenges or inability to concentrate in school, for example, is because they have their devices overnight. So digital sunset as a family, you must have a time that devices shut down. That's what may have called a digital sunset. See how, I'm sure you can see the glow on my face. It's not AI. I'm sitting by the sun like this, that's just directly here, right? But just the same way this sun will set, our devices must sleep. So my children do not have devices in their room. And I told them, they'll say, is it that you don't trust me, Mania? I trust you very, very well. It's these devices that have been made to be so addictive. And you can get up and go to the bathroom now. You will just, let me see. So that it doesn't disturb your sleep. That's why we have it in another room. It takes time, but now there's no argument with it. My almost 16-year-old, my almost 14-year-old, no argument. At night, bedtime, devices dropped. All devices. When I work with my clients, I do something called a digital audit. You'll be amazed how many screens your child has access to. It's not just their phone. There's laptop, there's smart television. Let's leave that one for another day. So digital sunset is devices must shut down because our children's sleep is being affected if they take their devices with them into their room. Too many of them are not sleeping properly, and that is having dire effects on their mental health. Okay, we've talked about digital footprint. Parental monitoring software is the software you put to monitor what your child is doing. Chicken, everybody has to have that one. So far your child is 16 or under, you must have digital parenting monitoring software in place. So that things like screen time, that digital sunset, I tell parents, stop hoping. Hope is not a strategy. Put it in and make it automatic, where 9 o'clock or whatever time you pick, their devices must shut down. So whether or not they forgot it's sunset time for their devices, the device will shut down. So let's not be saying, oh, I forgot to, and after you told me, I meant to be checking every night. Put some of these things, let technology work for you. So that's parental monitoring software. You can monitor what they are looking at. You can block certain things. You can block certain sites. It's very important. Cyberbullying is bullying, but online. And it's very ugly. It's very ugly because suddenly the child's bullying experience as a victim, it doesn't end in school. Hello, are we together? It's very, very difficult for children nowadays because they come home and the bullying continues online. So that's what cyberbullying is. And then burner phones are phones that when a child has another phone. So the phone you gave them, that you have all these controls on, they have another phone that they actually use it. They join it with their Finsta account. So the child is living a different life. Okay, so I've explained all of that. All right, fantastic. So anyway, we've done that. You don't really have to share your scores here, but the idea is for you to do the test, ask yourself, what are you aware of? What have you spoken to your children about? And realize that these are all important topics. So now let's go into how to upgrade, and then how are we doing for time? Okay. All right. So let's talk about online safety. What can you do as a parent? We have talked about why it's important. We've talked about what's going on in the world. We've talked about how the children are online. It's no more about whether or not you will give them a device. Hello, are we together? It's no more about that. Your children will get device. They are seeing devices in school, at home, with their friends. So let's not fool ourselves to say, my child is not on any social media. If they are looking at YouTube, they have WhatsApp. Maybe they are playing video games. Maybe it's even the innocent game they are playing on your phone. They are going to see something. So let's not fool ourselves to say my child is not online. I'm not suggesting you give your child phones or devices at 5 years old. That's not what I'm saying. But even if you have picked an age, that this is the age they will get a phone, who says when you give it to them, they know exactly how to be responsible online? So we need to make sure our children are thinking about these 3 things all the time. Let them start processing, why are you sharing? Like, let them even think about it. Why am I sharing this? Is it because I'm suffering from FOMO? That's why me too, I feel as if I must show that me too, I'm bubbling. Even though this bubbling picture I'm putting is from 4 years ago. And then you will now have to use AI to change the face so that it doesn't look like what you were wearing. And it's that same picture you have been sending for this last 4 years. Do you see what I mean about how the pattern can become it just takes over. You just become, oh my God, I haven't posted in a while. I have to post. Okay, what picture can I find? But is this same one I've been wearing since? Oh yeah, let me go and use AI to help me adjust the picture, adjust how I look, put filter, so it looks as if it's a different time. Oh, I will change the background so that it looks as if it's not the same Elegushi beach I was. Let them think that I went to Cyprus. Honestly, we need to help our children think, why are you sharing? And I dare say, even for parents gone, sometimes you have to think, why am I sharing? Is it just because I want to show that me too? I won an award. Me too. I went to the latest networking event. We have to really pause and think, why are you sharing? Then the next one is, what are you sharing? Why are you sharing? What are you sharing? This is where a lot of children become victims of digital footprint challenges. There was recently a case in the UK where there was a gang on gang violence and it included some Nigerian boys. And because the other gang was trying to say they were going to deal with the gang that unfortunately killed one of their friends, in the WhatsApp group, they were talking about it. Send me their address. They're going to see what I can do to them. That kind of talking. Somebody took a screenshot and sent it to police here in the UK. Some of those boys, several of them, have been jailed for 8 years. And one of those boys was on his way to university to study law. So our children they live in a very slightly scary world, but we can't afford to abdicate our role as parents and say, well, I hope for the best. Hope is not a strategy. I have that written somewhere. Hope is not a strategy. You have to do the work. So what are they sharing online? They have to be aware of it and use case studies for them. These children today, they want facts. Don't just say, the Holy Spirit just told me that is as if Holy Spirit has his work, we know. But mommy and daddy, you have to connect. It's like, hey, I just heard this story recently. Then the conversation starts. And then lastly, you have to be having them ask, how is it affecting you, both now and in the future? So why, what, and how? Critical conversations to be having every day. If you want to note it on your phone, if there is the 3 things every day you're kind of talking about regularly, it will become second nature. All right. So let me talk about limitations and then we'll start to wrap up so we can do Q&A. Limitations of online safety, there are limitations, right? So I've talked about the why are you online. But the truth is that even if you put limitations and parenting software online, guess what? It won't catch everything. And all content is not the same. All screen time is not the same. There was a time, for example, that we're going through a period when my son didn't really enjoy reading books. And where we've been raised saying you must read. Man who doesn't read, a person who doesn't read is not learning. So we're big on you must read, you must read, you must read. Until one day he said, but I don't actually enjoy reading fictional books, like all those Diary of a Wimpy Kid, blah, blah, blah. He said, I don't enjoy reading it because the book will end. And what did I learn? But if I go online, I watch a video about planes, how planes were made, how this was constructed, blah, blah, blah. I am learning more there than because I read a book or not. This boy was like 9 or 10. What will you tell that boy? Will you say, no, Aisha, I just want you to be reading a book? Or will you say, well, it's about learning. And if he's learning in a different way, which is better? So the point is that the quality of content being consumed matters. And our online safety cannot manage everything. So we need to start teaching the children so that they are able to think about the quality of content. One of the things I've used for it to stick with my children is to tell them that when there's a movie, does a movie not have a rating? It does. Either PG-13, 15. Can you hear me? Okay, yes. Okay. You looked frozen for a second, but I was wondering if I was stuck. Okay. So, and like I was saying, the children today, I love engaging with them because they want you to engage with them in a way that it makes sense. When it makes sense, they are more likely to respond. So tell them that, but movies have ratings, right? They'll be like, yes. Video games have ratings, right? They'll be like, yes. Like, So why do you think that all the content out there, you can watch whatever you want? Do you realize there should be ratings too on what you consume online? Then you are making connection. You are making sense, and they can say, So quality of content is a big thing we need to keep in mind. Parental software is great. You need to have them. There are several types. People always ask me which is best. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're in the Apple family, Apple has a great one, so you can connect and, put screen time and all. Studio is another one. Google also has one called Family Link that's great for Android devices. So there are many. Finding one is not the issue. Okay, then controlling social media, it's still a limitation. There's only so much control you can do. Now we're going to go very quickly into AI and what's happening in that space. We are seeing a lot of increased self-generated child sexual content. Before, what we were worried about is the children seeing inappropriate content, right? Or somebody sending something to them. A lot of children now are generating their own sexual content. They are the ones sharing pictures of themselves nude. They are the ones sharing it willingly because it's the world they live in. The world they live in makes it okay to share these things. However, once again, I believe in using facts and figures for children. According to the UK law, possessing and distributing any image of somebody under 18, even if it is your own, is illegal. So our children need to know that. So if somebody sends it to you, you open it, you forward it, you share it. And guess what? With some of these cyber crimes, because it's a cyber crime, tell them it's a cyber crime. They can find you wherever you are. Don't say I'm in Nigeria. Is that platform Nigerian? Is that platform owned by Kirikiri police station? It's global. If they flag you, they flag you. So our children need to be aware of this, and it's on the increase, especially with younger children. For some reason, it's those younger ones that now have phones and are feeling like, I can share this. They are the ones sharing it. So we have to be aware of that. I believe that parents must do spot checks of their children's devices. And we want to make sure that we're recognizing online abuse. It's also on the increase. Grooming means when somebody comes online with the intention of getting that child comfortable with them to start to ask them for inappropriate things. Some of them start innocently on video game platforms. And they're like, hey, let's start talking on WhatsApp. Or they move them off platform. So that's a red flag. When somebody comes on a platform, meets you there, and tries to move you off that platform, usually, why are they doing that? Radicalization is also on the increase. So people are seeing things online. Remember, we talked about it. We can be raising a Nigerian child in Nigeria, but their mindset, their beliefs is based out in, I don't know, Ohio somewhere. So we need to be sure that our children are not being radicalized because it's happening a lot. Yeah, talked about that. I'm going to move here quickly because I want us to talk about ChatGPT and why it's such a big deal. Why it's such a big deal. Frankly, in my view, this is a big deal, yes. But just the same way when Google came out, everybody was up in arms back then. That education will change forever. People won't learn again. Now, no child can do a project without using Google. Is that not the fact? Simple.
True.
So ChatGPT is now just the senior brother of Google in terms of what it is. AI has been around for a while. That's why you can talk to Siri. Siri will answer you, right? AI has been around for a while. The key difference with generative AI, that's what ChatGPT is that it is trained on a lot of data and it is able to respond to our prompts in a natural language sounding way. That is the big concern, especially with children who cannot tell that this thing that's spitting out this information in such an authoritative way is not a human being and that this content is not 100% accurate. That's the main concern. It's not whether it's good or bad. It is, once again, how you use it. And parents, please, 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 if you haven't done any research on this, if you are not aware of what ChatGPT is, if you have never used it, see, knowledge nowadays is free. Honestly, the illiterate of today is the one that is not aware of what's going on in the digital world and says, I don't know. And you're not illiterate in my view. If you don't know what's going on, or you say you haven't heard about it, how? You know, I know I'm being a bit dramatic, but the point is our children are using this stuff. And this stuff is dangerous because it responds to people in a natural language sounding way. So your child, our prefrontal cortex is not fully formed till when? Till 25. So your child is still figuring out life. Then you add on top FOMO, cyberbullying, screen time, not sleeping enough. Then you now mean there's this platform that anything I type, it will give me answers. It is affecting them with homework. It's affecting them with everything because now they are going to ChatGPT to do their work. Because it's giving you answers that are perfect. This ChatGPT is passing biology exams, is passing medical school exams because of how much data it has. So what does that mean for us? There are opportunities and there are threats. Okay, so it's not about banning it. It's not about whether it's good or bad. It's about having the conversations with your child, because your child cannot fully make the difference between whether or not the content they are getting is accurate or not. And we are seeing more chances, more incidences now of plagiarism. Because if a child takes it and pastes it, guess what? It's potential for plagiarism. And we might say in Nigeria, it's not a big deal. Maybe people are not checking. But a lot of people at some point, perhaps, you have aspirations for your child to go to school abroad. That's where I'm finding a lot of Nigerian children are getting cut out, because a lot of these things are not discussed in Nigeria with them properly. They then get into these other communities where they expect them to know, and they are falling victim to a lot of these things because we're not talking to them about it. So please, let's talk to them about it. There are many pros to it, but it can be inaccurate. It can lead you to have problems if you use it the wrong way for your schoolwork. Use it the same way you would use Google. What I tell my children, just the same way you use Google to cite your sources. You can't say you found it on Google. Google doesn't own content.
That's right.
Google just pulls content for you. Same thing with ChatGPT. The only difference is that it gives it to you like, here, take, go. However, you must be the one to teach yourself to say, what is the source of this thing? It launched in November 2022, and within 1 month, it had over 1 million users already. I don't know if we're aware that 2 weeks ago, the founder of OpenAI, he came to Nigeria. Guess what? He said, this country was one of the highest users of ChatGPT. Wow. So they were like, what is going on in this country? They came to Nigeria. They would not come to Nigeria if we were not that important when they looked at the world. So it just shows you where we are in the global world and global stage. So parents, we got to wake up. We have to be having this conversation so that we can do what? Empower our children to make the right choices. Okay, Ebon, the last thing I want to mention is that ChatGPT AI has come into Snapchat. We know that. It is now in Snapchat. And in fact, there was an example that was created. Somebody created an account like they were 13-year-old. They told ChatGPT that in Snapchat and said, and like I said, you can have screen time. Will you know what that AI has landed Snapchat? You will know now. So it's now even dangerous. That means our children can have digital friends. They are talking to a digital friend, asking questions and getting answers from something that doesn't even know that your child is a child. Okay, let's keep that in the back of our mind and think through how dangerous that can be. Right? It's one thing if your child is talking to somebody they know and you're saying it's time for bed. Stop talking to Titi. You and Titi need to go and sleep. At least you know it's Titi they are talking to. What about if they're now talking to a digital friend that's an AI too? So in this particular scenario, which is a real life scenario, it's on YouTube. I'll send you the link. They created an account and said they were a 13-year-old child that was going to run away with her much older boyfriend. And when they run away, it's going to be her first time. And that can be it's called My AI in Snapchat. Can it give her advice on how to make her first time special?
Wow.
And he gave her blow by blow advice on what to do, how to make it special. When she goes away with her boyfriend, what to say, how to do it. Can you imagine? And it was written and being given in such a way like it felt like it was natural language. So you would think there is a friend that's advising you. How can no friend that's a normal friend will ever encourage or should encourage a 13-year-old to do such a thing? Now, this My AI did it in such a way that even if you are not careful, you start saying, all of these ideas AI is giving is not bad. Until you remember, wait, this is for a fictional 13-year-old account, and this is what AI is doing. So I know on a time basis we need to wrap up, so I'm going to just fly through this and share one more key point. The godfather of AI, his name is Jeffrey Hinton. Do you know he quit Google over the last few weeks because he's worried about the dangers of AI, and he partly regrets his contribution to the field.
Oh.
It was brought on by Google a decade ago to help develop the company's AI technology. And the approach he pioneered led the way for current systems such as ChatGPT. Let's sit back and think, when people like this are starting to say, there are problems, do we realize where we are in the world? This AI has the possibility to change the world from what we ever knew. And you know, when two elephants fight, who suffers? The grass. Is the grass. And our children are seeing this. They are living online. Their lives are different. Their lives are not what we could ever have imagined. It's as if we are watching Back to Future now. So parents have to lead the children, because a lot of our children are confused. A lot of them, when we have sessions with them and we focus on online stuff, because like I said, you can be a great intentional parent, but if you live this online world, it's as if you haven't done any work. A lot of children would tell me that they have seen so many things. I'll say, did you take it to your parents or your teachers? You know what they'll say? We don't even think our mom and dad will know what to do. We don't think our teachers even understand this stuff, so we don't tell anybody. So who helps you figure it out? Oh, I just tell my friends. How scary is that if a 10-year-old, 11-year-old is dealing with adult-sized issues and the people they are getting advice from are their friends? I will end it on that note, because if you leave me, I'll talk about this thing for 4 hours, because there's so much to uncover. But what I started with was what? 3 things. We need to educate ourselves so that we can empower our children to use digital platforms positively and for good. And lastly, we must do it from a place of empathy, that this is the world our children are living in. You cannot be saying, in my days, I beg, in your days and these ones don't align. So how do you bring your values from your days into the reality of the world they live in today? That's where the work lies, and that's what we must continuously work on. And, you know, I have programs that I run. I have lots of resources. I have a particular program I run on a monthly basis, where every month I delve into a particular area of digital parenting, because we can't cover it all in what, an hour and a half session. And these things keep switching so fast. Like I said, when you think you know what's going on, something else will come out that you need to adjust for. So I'll share all of those information later. Ebon, you can share it with everybody who signed up. If you want to participate in that, I have free resources you can download. And I also have the courses that are on an ongoing basis to really help us transform our parenting to be transformational and effective in the digital age. Thank you.
Guys, what do you think? I want to read the comments in the chat box before I say anything. What do you think? You know, Yetunde, when you started, you said it's not something to be afraid of. We just need to know what is happening. And I don't know, even me that I have an 18-year-old, I am sitting up and asking myself, you know, that's really, we really don't know the extent to which this can go. And just as I listen to you, I'm just scared. Where are we going? Where are we heading to? Are we actually ready? Are we actually prepared? We need to be equipped for this. She said we need to get educated, we need to empower ourselves, and we should do it from a place of empathy. In the chat box, I can see Mama, good evening, Ma. Please add me to the mail. Okay, thank you so much, Yeti. This is an amazing and enlightening session. Really eye-opening. Yesterday, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. It's really an eye-opening session, very educative, and we appreciate it. We at the Center for Sex Education and Family Life, we interface with children and parents a lot, and we have had so many stories. I think on this platform, I had also shared an experience of a girl who the parents are redeemed pastors, you know, the mother and the father are redeemed pastors, and okay, deacons, okay, senior, those people in the senior part of the high hierarchy of the church. And this child, she's a firstborn, I think around 10 years old, just entered the secondary school, and I think it was during the lockdown, and they didn't know. All they do is go to school, go to church, come back home, you know, that triangle life. That's the kind of life they live. And this family did not know that their child was already praying, doing the five times prayers, the 5 times Muslim prayers. You know, that they have regular 5 times prayers in a day. A 10-year-old was already doing that. A pastor's kid. And they just stumbled on her in the guest room one day. And that's when they knew that there's fire on the mountain. And when we ask this girl, how did you don't go out? They don't even have a nanny or something. Who introduced? Nobody comes to their house. That's how protective they were. And that brought me to what you said, that we can be great parents, we can be great and intentional parents, and we are not paying attention to some things. And that's the digital aspect of their life. This girl learned how to pray in the Muslim way on TikTok. I learned there's a community on TikTok where they groom them and prepare them to be that. This girl has a journal, a diary, a big diary, and inside it, she was already writing in Arabic. So she used Arabic to write her diary so that her parents, anybody that stumbled on it, will not know what is there. This is part of the things that AI is doing. And we need to sit up, we need to get educated. Thank you so much again, Yetunde. Before we round up, of course, we'll give you opportunity to share your program, because that is what we do in this community. We want to go along together. We want to be educated so that we can raise awesome children. And that is why we are here. So now I want to give room for questions. Yes, thank you. Somebody is sending a message to me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a Muslim. I'm just saying, for a Christian child praying 5 times in a day and the family did not know. Please, I understand what I'm saying. I'm very intentional about what I'm saying. I'm not saying it is wrong. I know we have Muslims on this platform. I'm just saying that for a pastor's kid praying 5 times, Muslim prayers 5 times, and the parents are not aware. It's just for you to know how strong the influence can be in our children's life, learning on the social media. That was why I said that. It's not to talk down any religion. Thank you for that. So questions, I can see Doyen's schools hand up. And if you have any question, you can signify, raise up your hands, or you drop the question in the chat box so that I can read. Yes, Doyen Schools, you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Okay, so thank you very much, Ebon. Thank you. And thank you, Yeti Williams, for that insightful session. We appreciate so much. Thank you so much. I just want to ask with regards to ChatGPT, because I have been engaging myself with that chat box in the recent time. And it's amazing how much this chat box can really answer questions. So my concern really is for the young minds, the young children that we're raising, and how this impacts on their creativity and the critical thinking skills that we are trying to instill in them. Because it doesn't just, there's no need to think. You put in the question, it gives you answers straight. You know, while, well, maybe not all are correct, but if you are able to put in the right question, you get the answer. I am a bit concerned for the children. Yeah, because I do not know whether we should discourage parents, you know, especially of young children, from allowing their children to interact with this chat box, or whether they themselves shouldn't even bother trying to do homework using ChatGPT, because then everybody can simply just rely on it, and there's no point thinking, no point creating. So, and I know that is going to raise dummies. That is going to help us raise enough dummies who don't need to think again. Just put in your question, you get the answer. So when they get to the point of having to use their critical thinking skill, they might be stuck. So I'm just, as an educationist now, looking at how this impacts on children creating creative thinking skill, and what we should be doing as educators, as everybody is really becoming exposed to it.
Yeah, it's a great point. And, you know, depending on who you ask, there are some people that are saying it's team ban it. Some people are banning. Some people are allowing it. even the educationists are not on the same table right now. They're not agreeing because there's such a diverse, it's so new. Everybody's trying to figure it out. And one of the biggest concerns I have in this digital age is that our children are being made the guinea pigs of a lot of this stuff. Because before they fully figured it out, they're deploying it to everybody, which is why I can't understand why a platform like Snapchat, to be honest, has already brought this into their social media platform when majority of their users are 25 years and under. You know what I mean? So who is it really for? But from an educationist perspective, I really believe it's going to force education to change. I don't think anything you ban is going to last, especially not the way AI is going. I watched a video, a 1 hour intense video around AI and what's happening, generative AI. And it said, because of how it's teaching itself about its data, even people that created it are amazed at how quickly, they call the one particular name, they are amazed at how quickly it is teaching itself the data and getting more and more insights. So what educationists need to do, I believe, is to engage it in a way where you help the children realize the importance of critical thinking. What one school did that I saw recently was he went into ChatGPT. He asked it the question he would have asked the children as a test. He brought the results to school, gave all of them in class and said, oh yeah, let's discuss it. Sure, you would have gone to ChatGPT to give me this answer. Now let's discuss the answer ChatGPT has given us. I've also heard that in some schools, it's changing how they do homework. So homework, for example, will start to take a smaller part of the overall grade. Because the truth is that with homework now, you don't know if the child is using ChatGPT or not. And everybody will start getting A star because the essay is so good. So what you can do is to say, you know what, why don't we reduce the emphasis on homework and maybe you do more in-class examinations. So I really think it's an evolving one, but you're absolutely right. Doyer School, I think, like you mentioned it, what do we do? If we ban it, they will still use it. And like I told my children, there've always been children who cheat. Before AI, after AI, there've always been some people that in school, they cheated, right? And they were cheats. However, the person who cheats or the person who uses ChatGPT to get good grades, what is going to happen when they get to the workplace? That is the kind of conversation we've had. What will happen when you get to the workplace and you got an A or 4.0 because you use ChatGPT to pass? But in the workplace, you can't hide behind it. So those are the kind of examples and conversations I think we need to be having from an ethical perspective as well to really help the conversation move, because nobody has the perfect final answer. Nobody does yet.
Yeah, I love your response to that question. Instead of saying we should stop it, can the education system, the sectors become creative in the things we do, how we ask our questions and all? Because like I said, when we started, this is the reality. And there's no way we can stop it. It's moving fast and eating into everything. I think recently I don't know if it was even that March session I was talking about, how will our lecturers start grading, because even projects now, just put your topic and it will give you preamble, introduction, chapter 1, chapter 2, give you everything. And I told a lecturer that I know that, see, you guys need to sit up and we need to change. And that's just it. We need to all evolve. Can we stop living in the old? This is the reality. Can we move? The days of Google, ChatGPT is 100% faster and more informed than Google.
And Google has its own. Google has its own bad. That one today they are rushing. You want us to lose our market to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So they are rushing to match up.
Can we also move? Can we also evolve? And I'm saying this, thank you, Yeti, for that response. For anyone, if you have opportunity, like PF will say, if a new dispensation is happening, new people are being sworn in and all, if you have opportunity to function at that level in the education sector, these are things we should be discussing. Admin, can you please mute? Thank you very much. These are the things we need to start discussing. Very important. Thank you so much. I have a question here, and the person said, I have a 16-year-old daughter that just asked for my permission to join IG. What sorts of conversations should I have with her.
Yeah, it's a great one. And I think it's great that she's 16 and she's asking you for permission. So well done, first of all. Secondly, is to say, oh, okay, you want to go on the platform. Why? Don't assume you know why she wants to go on. Ask her why she wants to go on. Then ask her questions like, in fact, so I have so many resources that sometimes I forget to mention it. I have one that is about before and after TikTok. And I think you can use the same principles. Basically, it's as if, okay, before you get on TikTok, in this case, IG, why do you want to get on? What do you know about it? What do you want to use it for? Who's on there? What are some of the things you want to do? Just so that you engage them and you get them to be thinking about what they are going to be using it for. And then you want to talk about the controls you put in place. So that's where you then get into controls. How will you manage how long you spend on? When exactly will you go on? You know, things like that. But have an open dialogue. At 16, I don't believe it's too young to get on. And in fact, it's better for us to let them get onto it sometimes when they're under our roof, so that we can still guide them before they leave home, they go to university. And we're seeing a lot of that happening. Children in university that are flunking out because they haven't been able to control their social media consumption. They're not sleeping. They're using their devices through the night. They're not taking the breaks they should. They're not studying well. And no professor is going to chase you to do your work. No professor. So a lot of children that did not learn how to manage their digital and social media consumption properly are struggling when they shouldn't as young adults. So that's what I'll say. Have conversations with her, ask her what she wants to get on, why she wants to get on, what she thinks she'll be doing on it, why she's interested in it at this point, and then ask her, so what will you be doing to make sure you don't spend too long on it? Put controls in place. You can still put controls in place so that you can have screen time and things like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, it's been an amazing time. Yeah, any other question? Any other question? Are you for real? No questions? We all understood all this? Okay, so let me...
Maybe it was too much.
Probably. Probably.
There's a hand up.
Yes.
I see
okay,
a hand up.
Esther. Esther, please unmute yourself and ask a question. Esther, I yield the mic to you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Please, I actually wanted to ask this question. I know it's really not about TikTok. I want to get to know what to do because there is a child that just got admission. But before she got admission, it's like she had been on what do we call it? Indian hemp. Unknowing to the parents, she has been on Indian hemp for like getting to a year, about 6 or 7 months, as she confessed before leaving the house. So the fear of the parents is now, what do we do? That's the question the woman asked me. What do we do about her? As she's going back to school, we've paid everything. We've paid everything about her school fees. We've done everything. And she also got, the reason why they were like still leaving her to go to school is because she had this merit admission. So she's very intelligent. Them obstructing her, stopping her from going back to school become indecision for them. You understand? So they actually, and they have kept her for 1 good year, not going to school because of her age then. But at this 17th year, she's 17, she has to go back to school. So the parents were like having some indecision, but a lot of things has been made. So they tried encouraging her, trying bringing her back, but they are still afraid. So how do we do about what do I tell them? How do I encourage them to handle her now that she's in school? She just resumed.
Okay, so has she gotten any help at all with the substance abuse? That's the first thing I would think about is, have they gotten her to see a professional? Because at this point, I'm not sure, first of all, locking her in the house won't stop it. And she's going to go back to school if she hasn't learned anything about, going off using the drugs. I'm not sure it's going to really, it's not going to help her. So my advice would be they must see a professional who can help with the addiction and who can help with the drug use. It's probably not something that the parents themselves can do.
Absolutely. And it's not something we can just out of the blue start prescribing and telling you this is what you should do. Anybody that wants to take up this case will want to understand and get the history of the child before we can. And admin, please, can you drop the office number so that Mrs. Esther can reach out so that the office can assist. These are part of the things we do at the Center for Sex Education and Family Life. Any other question? Any other question? We have spent more than... You're welcome, Madam Esther. Thank you so much. Somebody said, what are we really doing? We have to learn new ways of parenting. Yeah, you said it. Oh, we need to learn the new ways of parenting. What have we been doing? What have we been doing, right? When PF came up with new rules of parenting, we didn't even know that ChatGPT and all this will come this fast on us. And so, like Yeti said, every time new things are coming up, and we also need to keep the track. Thank you very much, Yeti. I want to believe you guys have enjoyed and learned a lot. I want to read in the chat box, what do you think about this month's family meeting? I'm sure it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. And Yeti, I'm so excited. Thank you for... Somebody said you have not dropped the link to your free resources. Please don't let us be looking for free all the time. Let's also look for the ones who pay for. Yes, the recording is on YouTube and I have dropped the link. We are streaming live on YouTube, so you can get the replay. Admin, please drop the office number. Admin, please drop the office number so that Esther can reach out. Yeah, Yeti has dropped her. Thank you, Amotola. Yeti has dropped the link to her WhatsApp. Yeah, you can follow her, Lagos Moms. You can follow Yeti, and from there you continue the conversation with her. Yeti, what other thing, apart from the monthly meeting you have, what other thing? Let's take advantage of this. There's a secret behind this meeting we are having with Yeti. This class, she sells it at 60,000 Naira, and you are getting it for free. I told you it's a CSR, it's part of our giving out. And so take advantage of it. Yeah, take advantage of this session. Take advantage of all the things she has dropped in the chat. And with this, we come to the end of family meeting. Thank you all for joining. Yeah, people are saying thank you, wake up call. Yes.